And we are live here on GRAPPL Patreon. Hello, folks. I think this is going to work. JP's here with me. How's it going, mate?
I think it is going to work, mate. Honestly, it's. We were going through a little bit of like sort of tech stuff beforehand, but it looks like your Vietnamese Wi-Fi is doing the job.
It seems okay so far. I don't know how far this audio is going to go. It might just end up because we decided late in the day we were going to do a recording of some form. It's like, fuck it, we'll just go live for the patrons, because outside of Simon, they're all lovely, they'll all be dead nice to us, all right, and Simon too, and they'll be able to put up with a few technical difficulties if we have any. I wanted to test out, obviously I've got new surroundings here. I'm over in Vietnam now, so kind of killed two birds one stone. There was no spotlight this week either. There's weekend show tomorrow, that is still happening with me and Matty, but I don't think he's seen Double or Nothing yet, so I can't see him watching a 4-hour Fyter Fest. So kind of made sense to me, JP, just to jump on. We can try it from all angles, and yeah, there might be some hiccups along the way, but we'll see how it goes.
It's exciting, brave new world stuff. There's a few things we're wanting to try out in the future. I mean, I know I mentioned a little bit of this. I've like trying to do some video stuff regarding some of the news stories. So just keep them peeled. To quote Police 5, that is a dated fucking reference there. For that massively dated. But
and keep your ears open as well, because I've got a whole fucking party street out there. So basically, what I'm testing today is the internet in Vietnam, which has been fantastic. I've got like 300 meg download on my phone, but the Airbnb I'm in, the Wi-Fi, it's not quite as fast, but I think it's going to be more stable. So I'm testing that out. But literally, it's like the biggest party street in Vietnam out there pretty much every night till 5 in the morning, which is fine by me, to be honest. That's when I go to bed. It's a bit of it's not the noise, you know what, JP? It's I'm getting old now. I'm realizing it's not it's not that. What it is, it's the bass. Like you can feel the bass as it's going. So I've tried to tweak some settings to drown it out, and I think we've achieved that too. But all parts of the fun, mate, of being out here.
Or mate, they could be, honestly, that noise guy doing such a good job that it could be the Viet Cong could have restarted themselves and be fighting a load of American GI. I reckon we can do. I reckon we can.
There's so many fucking Americans here. I've got to say that. Like, it is literally like going from Bangkok. Like, obviously, I've moved on from Bangkok now, and thank you to those who were very nice about us missing spotlight. It wasn't anything serious. Yeah. I had food poisoning, and that seemed to just roll into COVID, which is going around Bangkok at the minute. There's all signs up outside 7-Eleven saying not to come in if you've got COVID and stuff like that. So I was just glad it wasn't anything more serious. I was starting to get a bit worried, because it was just like, what have I got? Some kind of weird blood-borne disease, or like from eating too much street food or something like that. So it was good to find out. I just time travel back to 2020, but like it's so different here. I don't know if you've seen my photos on Instagram. Literally, I mean, like, it's kind of a party town, but not really. Mainly just this area. Mostly, it's like fuck being in Miami. Just beach everywhere, and it's just like it's like full of Americans and Russians. It's like a WWF house show in the 1980s. Like, it's just full of like I'm waiting for it to kick off at some point between the two different gangs or something like that. Like, it's because again, where I was in Bangkok, it was me, it was locals, and it was you do see expats, and there were big expat areas, but I'm very clearly in the big expat slash. I hate that phrase as well, expat. Just say fucking immigrants. Like, that's kind of what we are, isn't it? Travelers. I don't know.
That's very much what Brits say. But I am very much glad that you're feeling better. That's the main thing. The GRAPPL on the TV, which was a great touch, has managed to disappear to what is my Google TV menu as well.
Oh, so shit, yeah, it has.
It has.
I've realised whenever I bring my notes up, it's going to do that now, so you're going to know when I'm bringing my notes up. Testing things, just seeing if it works. This will be me. I'm here for a full month. It's lovely, like, where I am. The host here is so nice. I didn't have a splitter for, like, I've got, like, a big balcony there with, like, a little bench out. You see plenty of photos of me having me a little outdoor coffee. He's got loads of massive space. The owner can't do enough for me. When I got here, they basically forgotten that I was coming, I think is what happened. So it was all very confusing. But they own a pizza shop that's next door. So, like, the guy was like, oh, don't worry, we've ordered you a pizza, it's coming. I was like, oh, right, okay, cool. And this fucking cheese on cheese pizza came, so I had to sit there being polite, eating the crust. It felt like I was. They definitely looked at me like, he eats weird. Why is he not eating this pizza properly? But they're just so nice. They literally came in. They gave me that splitter for the TV a couple of hours ago, and set me up there as well. It's a very nice little place. I have seen a gecko. That's the only thing. I do not have a pet, and it may be a gecko, but that's okay. Just the parts of the world you're in. I've looked it up online. Basically, every Reddit thread about I've got geckos in my apartment in Vietnam or Thailand. What do I do? And they all go, give it a name and just be glad it's there and you're not seeing anything worse. Because if there was anything worse, it's going to eat it. And it's fucking tiny. It's like this big. So I kind of feel like I've got a pet now. I just need to. Gordon. Is Gordon a gecko too obvious? We'll give it a name like that.
I think Gordon the Gecko is absolutely spot on, mate. I think you can do that. I don't know what else you're going to call it, unless you want to go with one of the weird names for this odd backdrop I've gone with, which I will change in a little bit. I don't know why I've done this. It's just because they've banned disposable vapes, and I saw this image.
There's a lot of kick-off, about that. Yeah, it's like over here, they made weed legal for a bit, and now it's like you've got to have like doctor's notes and stuff like that. Connor says here in the chat, have I accepted bar as just a sandwich yet, or am I claiming you're cultured? I'm not having this. So have you heard of the banh mi sandwich, JP, from Vietnam? I've had several today, if I'm honest. I have had 3.
I haven't, no.
That's because basically what happened is the French came and took over in the 1800s, the 1900s, and the early 1900s, I think it is. And basically they gifted them bread. Like, that's the one part. I'm sure there were loads of negatives, but the one positive they gave them was bread. So, like, banh mi sandwiches are just, like, counter to what most Asian food is like, a gigantic here, so you can get them on every street corner. One today, and like this has been me today. I went to a posh coffee place and got a nice salt coffee, which is a bit like a salted caramel kind of a coffee mix. That was about 30p, and I got myself from like a place down the road, like just it's little old lady like stood outside making them. It's like a spicy pork. It's basically like a foot long from Subway, but the bread is like. I'm one of those people now, I will say it's different. It's very crispy, but it's also very light, if you get what I mean. Like, to hold it, it's like there's no weight to it whatsoever. It's so nice and so cheap. Or I did the other thing. I went to like the typical Westerner place where everything is inflated in prices, and paid the massive price of £1.50 for one this afternoon as well. So I've had both ends of the banh mi spectrum and both ends of the coffee spectrum as well. I did have a £1.50 coffee as well. But that's what passes for expensive over here, JP.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, it's in those prices are the thing that's driving me towards going to Southeast Asia sooner rather than later, because it just feels like, fuck me, it's just too nice. It just seems absolutely lush. Yeah, I don't know how to take that. That could be taken in a couple of different ways.
I just see a lot of people who are very JP. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
maybe JP from a couple of years ago, maybe more that, maybe all that flavour, not necessarily like. This dad JP, like almost retired dad JP, not young dad JP that you are now.
He is, yeah. The old dad JP now would be struggling to stay up past fucking 9 o'clock tonight. I tell you, he's knackered after various like we had like, and you have these things like a child mining inspections, and they came in and had a look, and it all went well, all went past.
All good.
No, all good. I got to disappear after an hour and a half because I had to do the pickup from the school and then had to drop off Harry to his choir lesson. So that was all. Well, and you'll be pleased to know, pissing it down, absolutely, fucking bucketing it down. So I don't know if the weather has improved in Vietnam from what it was in Thailand. Is it
no rain forecast for the next 2 months here, which is its own problem, but very different. With only an hour flight from Bangkok.
I was going to ask you that.
Maybe I brought the rain with me. Who knows?
An hour flight.
From a lovely airport as well, very nice. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I don't want to make Jim Cornette jealous, but they did have a cracking Dairy Queen in the Bangkok. My final meal from Bangkok was Dairy Queen. Look, my stomach was still recovering, but it was very tasty. But yeah, easy flight, made it here, and yeah, I'm going to be a beach bum for the next couple of months. So the plan is to use this time while I'm out here to do little testers like this. Might do a few more live streams, maybe on the free feed and all kinds as well. So you're probably going to get more over the next 2 months, because basically all I've got to do is to go to the beach and maybe go to the gym downstairs. They're probably the two things, plus eat banh mis and drink lovely exotic Fantas. Aniseed flavour, that JP. Unbelievable stuff.
Aniseed Fanta.
16p it cost me today. So I'm living the high life, but there'll be plenty going on.
Cheaper than Thailand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was. But I'll stop going on about it. My taxi from the airport to here to the centre of Da Nang, like an airport taxi on Grab, which is their Uber, £2.90 something it cost me. I did get ripped off when I did the foreign exchange booth, so you've got to watch out for little things like that. But it all kind of evens out. So yeah, again, we'll get you there.
Be loving
Aniseed, yeah, indeed.
Oh, mate, you'd be loving those prices long time. Sorry, you really would do for that. Sorry, it's a terrible.
Sorry, this has just
joke.
turned into Benno's holiday adventures conversation. I was just, just seeing how things go to test the stuff, but it all seems to be working. But we did say we'd come to it together to chat some wrestling. JP. We will talk Fyter Fest eventually. The 4 hours of such, which I managed to catch up today, watching. But the other reason I kind of wanted to start doing a few more shows like this is maybe we can have a little bit of a more casual chat about some of the news we've missed this week. I mean, is this where we have are we doing a minute, are we doing like a minute silence here for the careers of Ronald the Truth Killings and Carlito Colon and Valhalla not Rob Lynch? Like, what has been going on while I was fucking out of commission in bed and then traveling over here, JP? It's all been enough.
Apparently we've just been living in this alternate universe where you can cut as many people from the roster as you want. But my God, if you lay a finger on R-Truth, people are going to lose their minds and talk about it like it'd be like All Japan getting rid of fucking Misawa in '93 or something like that. It's just like, come on. He's had what can only be described as a cracking run for doing fuck all work. Like fuck all work for a long, long time. He's had a great run, and he'll make a killing on the Indies, and they'll bring him back again because they always do with comedy characters. I don't understand this.
I honestly, it's like I've been checking back in, obviously since I've got over here, and I just obviously there's a real story there. And I think the actual real story is what the fuck were they doing, as we were asking at the time, and even Matty was asking, putting him in that Saturday night's main event match if this was going to happen. PR own goal, very obviously. It's upset the whole locker room. That's also, quite clearly a thing that if you're going to manage your locker room and manage your workplace, there's a conversation to be had there, absolutely. But some of the tweets I'm seeing, it's like I can't believe there's this many grown adults who are willing to admit that they're this big a fan of R-Truth in 2025. I mean, when was Little Jimmy? It was 2010, wasn't it? What are we doing? I think Rovert said it on the Discord, or maybe it wasn't Rovert, won't shoot the messenger. But he's worked for WWE since 2008, and obviously had the run before that we all fondly remember as K-Quick. He owns multiple houses. He's a multi-time landlord with millions in the bank. Sorry, am I supposed to be crying that he lost the job? Who cares? Who cares? Why'd you care? Unless you know him personally. It's bizarre. I just can't believe again, there's a real story there to get into, to analyze, but people have gone so OTT with it. Do they actually want to see him on TV every week? Really? Do you? I don't believe you.
I don't at all. Don't get me wrong. He's made me laugh in what could be described 10-second bits, and me and you will always maintain that early TNA Ron Killings had potential of being a proper fucking star.
My EWR games, mate, I gave him the world title every time. 95 charisma, I think Ryland gave him, and it was true. It felt like it anyway.
In my mind, there is a version of him which is basically the Crow version of Sting, where he's in TNA and he's just he's just this angry character and whatnot. But don't get me wrong, I actually laughed at the T-shirt when he was at the Judgment Day one. It had "Live, Laugh, Love." I did laugh at that for about 10 seconds. It's a bit like
I have laughed at stuff he's done, and then I'm embarrassed 10 minutes later. But I have, fair enough. It's fine,
That's it. But I'm not going to shed any tears. He's all right. He's got a lot of kids as well. I think he's got five kids.
That's why he needs all the houses then. Fair enough. That makes sense.
Trust me, if I could swap positions. And how old is he? At this point, how old is he? He's fine. He's going to be fine. He's going to work comedy matches for massively...
Oh, he's going to get a lot of money.
There he is. He's coming at it on there. No, I don't know what happened there. It's this Yeti mic. It's a nightmare. I'm assuming.
There we go.
Hear me now.
Oh, were you fucking muted? It was you. I thought it was my head.
No, you know what this is like, mate. This is what Yeti does. Inexplicably, he'll go like, "Fuck it,
Oh, that's so funny.
No
I was
reason.
convinced it was me, and I was trying to slyly refresh the page and hope nobody noticed, thinking I'd fucked up. Oh well, that's good. We'll blame the Blue Yeti.
The Great Muter is back yet again.
I'll give myself some edit in there. We're back.
There's probably in terms of what is the bigger, more serious story in this, it's the case of WWE letting contracts expire because they have to meet repayments. They have to, they're going to cut costs. What's the easiest way to cut costs? We've had this conversation, God knows how many times over the years, that wrestlers going. And in this
big
case,
fucking contract, he's probably on loads of money, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be certainly clearing about $250,000 a year at the very least for doing really what, adding what value in there. And so they're gonna do this. They are absolutely they're just going to be about trying to make any of these savings they can do. I think I said it in the news. The one I think is the one that doesn't sit well with me isn't either R-Truth or Carlito. It's the fact that Sarah Logan, Valhalla, is just back from maternity leave, and they've let her go. Now it's the States, so probably that's absolutely fine and is very much accepted business practice. If you did that over here, you'd have ACAS involved in a fucking heartbeat, and you'd be talking about all manner of things about firing people who've just come back from maternity leave.
Yeah,
but
that's old school WWE stuff, isn't it? Because that's the other thing I've enjoyed. People going, "Oh, I literally saw it. I can't remember who did it. Genuinely, this is one of them where I'm like, I'm not burying the person on purpose, although I kind of am." Like somebody tweeted something like this. Oh, this is very clearly not the family-run business it used to be. What? When fucking Vince McMahon was doing exactly this, firing pregnant people. Doesn't Dawn Marie, didn't she get fired while she was pregnant? Yep. Didn't Tess get fired while he got injured on the job, in the ring, doing a match for them? I think we had that. I think we were consistent with that when AEW did that with somebody, didn't they? Who was injured and they were doing. I think they brought them back in the end. I can't even remember who it was, but there's nothing's changed. That's just what they were always like that. I mean, it's clearly, like you say, it's clearly numbers on spreadsheets. Maybe it's not Nick Khan led, probably more Endeavor, TKO type stuff where they're just looking at a spreadsheet and going, we've got we're wildly profitable. We need to continue to be saying that they're not wildly profitable as an overall company, but you know what I mean. WWE looks wildly profitable. We've got to hit these numbers for our shareholders each month. It's fucking gross. It's just business. Doesn't necessarily undo those types of evils. But that's the practicality of what's happened, and they've looked at it and gone, "That's someone making loads of money." And when it comes to R-Truth and Carlito, he was fucking. I loved his tweet where he was just like, "They're coming after me for for stealing over the last 2 years." But then my lawyers looked at the contract and said, "Fucking hell, you better get out of there because it does look like you've been stealing." Good way to handle it because he has been fucking stealing a living over the last 2 years. I'd argue R-Truth's been stealing a living for fucking 15 years or however longer, his entire career, apart from that one run where he smoked a cigarette and he did the stuff with The Rock and John Cena all the way back when in 2010. That's it really as far as highlights go. But yeah, maybe as somebody said earlier, it is literally just that. We've got a generation now it's the PR own goal, and there is a real story there. WWE have been, there's been a circle of positivity around them. They've been supposedly the good guys to some, and I suppose not necessarily changing the spots, but reminding people that that's who they are, that's what they are, and that's what this is at the end of the day. It's a horrible, corporation. That's just how things are going to be. Now, I don't doubt that there's all those negative effects backstage as far as some of the people that used to have them backstage. Again, they could have handled it better. They could have shuffled them over to a Legends deal or something like that, or again, not used them in the main event of Saturday Night's main event recently, unless it was very, very clear it was a big send-off. Because even then, that was more angry at that. They didn't get the money's worth out of that. It could have been Cena retiring R-Truth. They could have at least got a bit of heat out of it. Could have at least done some pro wrestling storytelling with it. Didn't even get out of it. It's been a bemusing story just all week watching it from afar.
It is, and I think anything that manages to upset their fan base, and it's going to sound really bad, it just tends to make me laugh a lot of the times because I'm a prick like that. And this story seemed to really which almost tells you about a lot of that fan base and what they find to be absolutely essential. And it's just it appeared to be the straw that broke the camel's back was R-Truth.
Yeah, not all the legal proceedings going on. None of the rest of it. I know they're not the same. I know. We all have, we all get angry about things football teams do, despite the evil that's going on behind the scenes. It kind of.
Arsenal released 20 players yesterday. I say released; their contracts weren't renewed.
And I bet people are more argue about that than they are about, Thomas, what's his face, and all of that.
Oh yeah,
there are hypocrites all over the place. But it's a good time to another subject I wanted to kind of talk about before we get to the thing that's kind of happened this week. What do you make of Vince McMahon's new company? You're going to be investing in it. He's sold WWE stock this week as well. I believe JP went out. So what was the number? Something like 200 million worth of stock that Vince McMahon's shed over the last while, all to put into this new company. But what do they call 14th and I? Me, myself, and I. Apparently that's WrestleNomics tracked it down, didn't they? That apparently it's the address, is it, of where the original Capital Sports building was, and that's where they think it's been pulled from. I didn't know Vince McMahon had that level of nostalgia to him, but yeah, I think that's where the names come. Obviously leads to all kinds of speculation of what he's going to do with it. Doesn't know anything about fucking sports, does he? Like we all know that from his history. It's probably going to end up being wrestling or just really dodgy investments. I don't know. What another interesting story from this week, though. I knew you had to take.
To be honest, I was looking at this and I was thinking, do you know what it comes across as someone who he wants something to do, but starting up a wrestling company from scratch would be something that would just, the level of initial investment would almost be far too much, even for him, even for someone with all of the money that he has and all the stock that he has sold there as well. What I find really weird is it's focusing on sports, media, and entertainment sectors. And that's incredibly vague, and that covers a hell of a lot of ground. And you don't trust his particular judgment, like say, with the XFL, with the WBF. Like, that this isn't anything that, like, the only deal they should have done, they never did, was buying Newcastle. That would have been actually something that probably would have worked out just, quite well, just given about.
Shane was going to buy them. That was a big story for a while, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. God, I mean, he probably, they would have
better than the cunts they've got who own it now, like, to be fair.
Well,
although again,
sadly,
it could happen. That could make it more realistic.
Sadly, up there, I don't think they're that bothered because they've won a trophy and they're in the Champions League. But this is the funny. This is the thing about this. It's like, what are they going to invest in, and what are they going to invest in? Because he also hasn't got the patience to draw stuff out and see a longer picture that could be, let's face it. If you're buying like a sports entity, you're talking about having to have a 10-year plan.
Yeah,
I would doubt he'll be around in 10 years. Let alone being able to have the patience, even if he was.
Is his mum still going?
That out.
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah,
I think she is. Yeah, as well. But like, I can't see what it is he is going to invest in outside of stuff that will be kind of wrestling adjacent without starting up a wrestling company. I mean, like this is the thing. I mean, Chris says here in the chat, a shell corporation to hide all his assets, as a way of that not being then brought up by, if he has to go to a civil trial with Janelle Grant and there is an enormous payout, he can then make out that he doesn't have as much in order to give in there as well. Chris just saying here about his mum, died at 102 in 2022.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. I can remember that story now vaguely, that being the case, because it was just like, Jesus Christ. Because I think our response was, "Oh no!"
So how old is he now?
That long. How old is he? Is he 81 or something along like something?
That doesn't bode well for us.
No, it doesn't. It still suggests he's got another 21 years in there as well. So maybe that is going to be the case. Maybe it's going to be asset stripping. He's just going to buy franchises in sports and effectively try and get them to move cities and then sell on. Like, that would perhaps be the kind of thing that he would do. But even then, I just don't think his psychopathic need to control these things is going to be the thing that completely overreaches all else. So if they did buy a sports team, rather than dealing with it in that cold, cynical way that you have to, he won't. Yeah. He'll just like go, no, that's like, I'm going to get hands on and fuck about with it.
something to do in it. It is golf. It gives him you always wonder if he was ever going to pick up any hobbies, and not seeing any pictures on the court with Trump. Another story I wanted to chat about, because I know you've got strong thoughts on it. I know for a fact, in fact, is the Mariah May story, obviously, with her turning up in NXT this week and making the big debut. Seen a bit of a conversation about that one. Like, I just again, like, I don't think it was good. I don't think it was a good debut. I think it was bad for plenty of reasons on its own merits, not the least of which is the fact that they're making a debut in NXT rather than main roster WWE. Like, I think she's above that at this point. I don't think she's fucking a world beater. I think a lot of what's got her over is circumstances, and there's obviously the long form story she was in AEW, but obviously she had a lot to do with that too. And she's somebody who just on a personal level quite enjoy seeing succeed, and having this is a run that, like, God bless her, like none of the men are doing this, are they really? Like, not name somebody else who's done this, who've gone from like a run in Japan to AEW to getting as over as you can possibly get in that AEW women's division, which is, there's a ceiling there on that women's division and the way it's booked. But she got past all that, only to the peak of her hotness and the peak of the story to go, see you lads, I'm off to WWE. Like, it's fucking incredible. Like, I've got hats off to her, and I wish her all the best and want it to go well. I just don't really understand why it was NXT that they're putting her on. The lighting of it, the way they presented her, like the fucking, the whole setting with it's just multiple faceless people all shouting at each other, arguing, like that promo train that the WWE like to do. Like, they're all the reasons I think are negative about it. But, like, yeah, the conversation seems to be about the fact that, like, video packages, I think, is rearing its ugly head again, JP. Like, I said this on the Discord, it feels a bit like, because I've seen comparisons to, like, the uproar when Thelka debuted in AEW last week. The whole, apparently there are still people out there who go, why weren't the video packages? What about the video packages? Just spawn this whole, like, new group of people who, like, sarcastically go, but what about the video packages back at them? So you just got two disparate groups of people just shouting the word video packages at one another, one seriously, one mockingly, like, when there is actually a real conversation to be had. Because I think the Thelka debut, like, failed on its own merits. Like, that was, we've all got to be honest, like, there is, like, as far as, like, I don't know, what's the word, notoriety, overness, just general fan awareness. Like, Mariah May is clearly at a higher plane than Thelka was. I think that's fair to say for anybody being honest with themselves. And I don't think anybody's disputing that point, really, if they're all being very seriously about it. And like I say, Mariah May to that WWE NXT audience is a name, especially when they fucking love that, don't they? When they pull people from AEW, like, she was always going to be over in that building. And I think enough of a percentage of the people watching that show would know she is to do their lights off, lights on, here she is debut. Like, that wasn't true. I thought you don't have to compare the two, but I think if we are going to try and compare the two, like, that wasn't true. That the way they did that was just to put it in a massive position to fail. Like, it was like lights off, lights on. Oh my God, that is, it's X. Like, that debut trope. You've got to do that with the right people, and she wasn't the right person for that. And the lack of response she got, and the crickets, and the rush we were talking about in the Discord, Patrick was saying on there, like, the rush nature of it, the fact that it was literally, and I said this at the time, didn't I, on Weekend Show, Excalibur had 10 seconds to unload every fact he possibly knew about her, that he just had offhand. Apparently he had a Wikipedia page open at all times, just in case he had to call the curtain at that point. And it was just so ineffective, because it was a badly done version of one of those things. I think both things can be true, but like I say, the idea that, like, these, I don't know, that it's hypocritical to say is one's bad and one isn't. I actually think my argument is it's not hypocritical, because they were both bad, and here's the reasons why they were both bad. I don't know where you stand on it. What did you make of the Mariah May debut? Am I making any sense?
I know you are. I think the Mariah May one is almost kind of worse. Like, I get the reasoning for putting her on. I get what their reasoning is for putting her onto NXT, which is they've called up basically Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez are all going to the main roster, so they feel like and let's face it, most of the other women in there very inexperienced, not ready for prime time as well, so they're just seeing it as a slot to kind of put her into, and then to kind of call her up. That's their logic. The problem lies in that she's proven that she can work to a high level. Her matches have been better. Her growth as a performer has been kind of exponential. I remember watching some of like when she was first sort of in and around Stardom as well, and she was at best average, and she's managed to improve because she's got like, she just appears to have an absolute like massive drive and determination of, I am going to get to this place and I'm just going to get there regardless of anything else. And you kind of need that within wrestling. The problem I had, if for old Jenny June or whatever her fucking new name is going to be, is she's in there. What there was like one of like sort of 6-7 people. And I was there thinking afterwards, this was after even I recorded the news stuff, which I did early in the morning, and the news was there. I was like, bloody hellfire. Actually, why wouldn't you wait to have her make an appearance at, say, Money in the Bank? Yeah. That would have been like an easier way. Like, she comes in through the crowd, she shoves someone off a ladder, and got a tailor-made feud on the main roster for them to go to. Like, I couldn't understand why that is the case. And instead, they went into... Really, they've just repeated the same thing they've done with Ricky Starks / Saints. Yeah. And what an overwhelming success that has been so far.
I was saying this, like I say, I understand it's a trope to say where's the video packages and stuff, but like I said, I think there's good faith arguments to be had about why both of these were bad in different ways. But I think like the argument we should all be having and the conversation we should all be having, and I think we've been guilty of saying it too, of falling on that trope of WWE or not to do with them. You know what I mean? I think that ended up being mostly true of Pentagon, but maybe not necessarily true of Phoenix, and maybe not necessarily true of Ricky Starks. I don't know on this evidence whether it's going to be necessarily true of Mariah May. She's going to have an uphill battle, because I think the other problem with her going to NXT, I get from an admin point of view, I suppose, I see the point. But again, I just think you find ways to make that work and put her on the main roster and strike while the iron's hot. Because if there is any money in her, the money is clearly in the main roster. And yes, she could get better, but I don't think she'll get better than she is now in NXT. I think she will only get better than she is now, continue to be in high profile points. Sorry, what you say?
Oh, no, I was thinking more, her logic for going completely makes sense. In the sense that in Stardom, that was always very, like, think about where she was in the UK and the UK Indies. Yeah. She was never a big featured name. And then obviously left like the UK, going and working in Japan, where again, she wasn't a big name, but she was one of the few Western wrestlers who were out there working regularly with Stardom. Goes to AEW, finds herself, and this is somewhat, it's fortuitous, but she also made it work as well. Has the alliance with Tony Storm, who at that point is massively on the come up. Then that develops into a big story. Where does she go from there? If we think of other like wrestlers at various points, we've thought, oh no, they're going to be like a big star, and then they like, oh God, I just mentioned Britt Baker, who is also seems persona non grata, and wouldn't surprise me if she turned up in NXT soon enough once her contract is up. And you kind of think, well, where has she got to go after that? She's won a title at Wembley, like, and she's had this big feud. Is that pretty much the high point of AEW? Where is the bigger ceiling for earning the big money? That's WWE, but that's on the main roster WWE, not NXT.
And the other point I was going to make is, like, I almost feel like going, and this, I think his problem is highlighted more by going to NXT. In AEW, like, a character was unique, wasn't it? The character was, look at me, I look amazing, and also I'm a good wrestler. And the degree of, how much you believe that second part is totally up to you. But, like, throw it in the XTD pen, like, how many like women are in there who've got a similar look to it, who are trying to, to varying degrees of success, try and peddle that same, catchphrase and that same gimmick? It's like, it's almost like she might have been put there to drown. Don't happen to me telly there in the background, and on the main roster, she would have stood out a little bit more. So yeah, that's what they were my thoughts on that. But we'll see what it lands. It's been very interesting conversation following it. And yes, she got main roster look. There's money there. It's whether we're going to make that money with it, and just it's only week one, isn't it? Like I think it was Connor, no, not Mod Connor, the other Connor in the Discord did say, whether these debuts, I can't remember the exact way he worded it, but whether these debuts are presented perfectly or not. In 10 weeks, are they going to matter? In 10 weeks, what's going to matter is the promos, the matches, the actual real performances that both, we're lumping Thelka into that conversation in as well. do over the next 10 weeks and how they handle them, over the more long term. So clearly not dead in the water, but thought that was interesting. But anyway, before we get to Fyter Fest, is there anything else of note you want to talk about? I was just trying to tick off a few things we were going to talk about on Spotlight. We were going to talk about the UK WrestleMania and all the reasons it's unlikely, but I think people have heard us wax lyrical about that before. Number one being, taxpayer money should have, other reasons for being and should be going to other maybe more deserving places than the pockets of TKO with the fucking money they want as site fees in it and such. But I think the American media got onto that over the last week or so.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to get. I mean, like it comes out they were saying like AEW paid for it. And it's like as they should. Although it should be said AEW, because of Tony the Khan's relationship with Wembley, they're always going to get that massively reduced fee in there as well. They're never going. They're never going to go to London. No. I just think there's time differences and things like that. SummerSlam always felt like the much more feasible goal because it's not got a retractable roof as well. So like that is something that's playing into what? Trust me, it's start of June today, and he's been pissing it down all day. So like imagine that in April. Fuck me, going to be absolutely all over the shop there as well. So. Yeah, that was never something that I felt was going to happen. Them going to Saudi for WrestleMania, well, yeah, don't have the same issues, do you, with weather in there as well? But yeah, I was interested. Is Beyonce paid a site fee? Is Taylor Swift paid a site fee? Imagine how many times those guys have sold out Wembley night after night after night. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
and again, why pay a site fee when AEW are literally willing to give you money, no matter how much that money is? Sorry for the video viewers had to nip off and put me fan on it. That's one of the many technical things that we're playing with today. Whether you can hear my fan when it's on, but it's fucking hot, and I make no apologies for the next hour.
No, don't.
Not next time. I could do something with the aircon maybe to make it a bit cooler in here, but yeah, rather that than see me melt on screen is probably better, or snap into a Slim Jim table, which was the other story.
Oh fucking hell!
Maybe I can get Matty's take of that tomorrow. Looking forward to that Slim Jim branded tables being gone through on all you do to be premium live events going forward.
Don't. It'll be LA Knight to go through the first one or throw someone through them both first.
Most likely.
I'm amazed given how they like to stick a logo on anything these days. They like the tables seem.
It'll be on the gear soon, properly. It'll be on.
Yeah.
Was it X-Pac who like that one time? Remember that? Like he had like. It was like Monster Energy or something like that was sponsoring him for a while. It was during like the DX corporation stage, the McMahon Helmsley era stage. I'm sure he did some of the. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought there could be more of that in wrestling, like UFC. It'll come soon. It'll be like the Burger King on the mats. It was always coming one day. Connor says we can't hear the fan, so there we go.
We had the Cracker Barrel match, didn't we, in AEW? So
yeah, there you go. And we all praised that. We said it was a good idea. To be fair, whatever. But speaking of AEW and speaking of old AEW ideas, we should talk a bit about Fyter Fest, mate. Can you believe it's still called Fyter Fest? That's my first question. The latest incarnation of Fyter Fest, as they kept saying on the broadcast, and it was like, how is there another one? How was the joke? We say it every single time. The joke was out of date the first time they did it. The documentary was out of date the first time they did it. Never mind the real Fyter Fest. Like, what is it? Is it like an inside joke and an inside? Are there layers to this? Is this like a really clever comedy bit that Tony Khan and AEW are doing now? Where like we'll pass the joke and we'll just keep him going, just drive the podcast. Does he know it winds us up? I don't know what it is. Fucking Fyter Fest. Like. So shit. Like, it's so shit. It's one of those things that's like explained. Because people now obviously went around the documentary came out and you have to explain, what it is. Where you start? Like, there was this festival. Ja Rule was supposed to put it on. And then, it was all shit show. And then 2 years later, Netflix made the documentary on it. And then a couple of years later, AEW formed. And they made their own knockoff version of it. And why would they do that when they're supposed to be promoting the event as a big thing? Don't ask any questions. It's just a funny little joke that the Elite have had. Fast forward 6 years later, we're still fucking doing it. Like, that's my biggest question. Never mind this 4-hour chat that I'm sure us and all the other podcasters are going to be having. Fyter Fest is my biggest question.
Yeah, I don't get it. Because they'd stopped it for a couple of years as well, hadn't they? This isn't something that was like regularly there. And they've got things like next week, it's Summer Blockbuster. They've got various other more generic things they could go with. But Fyter Fest is just fucking odd. Like, it is, it's odd. And it was never funny as a joke. And for this, it just doesn't even, it's just like, well, really what? I mean, they just go, it's a festival of fighting. fake fighting, but like, yeah, okay.
But why is it spelled with a Y?
Yeah.
Why is it? Why are there like fucking fake tents in the background? Like, it's just if there'd been another, if the new version of Fyter Fest, Fyre Fest, somebody was trying to get off the ground 2 years ago, it happened, then maybe we could continue it on. But yeah, as Connor says here, it's Tony liking his traditions to a fault, and yeah, breaking tradition. It was a 4-hour show. We do need to talk about it. I don't think it's just the podcasters moaning about it. Like I say, little gander today of the discourse did. I think a lot of people into that third hour started being like, okay, don't think you get the material here, lads, for 4 hours. What is going on? Because that's what it was. It was Dynamite and Collision smashed together. And it was a hard watch. Like, I even joked to you, like, getting through the second half before we decided on a time to go live. It was like, this last 90 minutes of the show might take me 4 hours, JP, so maybe we need to push back a little while. It was hard going, but it's not, I can't say it's not an idea I haven't actually gone for myself and, like, pushed for. Not necessarily, this is the problem, the 4 hours on TV is maybe not the way. And that's what I think, the Americans have gotten wound up about it. And it's a long time to sit on your couch and watch a show live, I guess, at a primetime time in the evening. Midnight's late, apparently, JP. That's what they tell me as I record it at 1:15 a.m. I know I'm built different, but anywho. But, like, I think for me, what I actually wanted was this to happen, but it to be, like, a Triller exclusive. I guess you're not getting that now. HBO Max exclusive, let's say that. You get Dynamite live for 2 hours on a Wednesday. And then when Dynamite has been good, and it's fucking great now, but, in its great peaks in the past, I've often said, haven't you get to the end, you go, I just want that little bit more. And when you remember when, like, Dynamite would finish and we knew Rampage was being taped, and sometimes Triller would show the first 10 minutes of it by mistake, and it would play, and it would be like, oh, I think we're going to actually get to watch Rampage live this week, even though it was only Rampage, because you were just excited for more AEW, and then they cut the feed. That's kind of what I wanted. For those sickos, those of us who were a little bit more excited for just another hour, just leave the fucking live feed going as you record it, and then show it on telly properly on the Friday or Saturday night. Maybe the economics of telly make that an impossibility, JP, but that was my impossible dream, so I feel like I maybe wish this into existence again. That was back when it was a 1 hour Rampage, not necessarily a 2 hour Collision, but there are still Dynamites to this day where it's like, oh yeah, I know the taping right now. I can see the tweets coming through on the timeline, tell me what's going on. I wish I had a way to watch it, like through some kind of premium means. Am I mad?
No, I think the reason is they will have within the contract the first run.
Oh sure, yeah.
Exclusivity of it will have to be on there.
Never stopped me in EWR though, mate. I could shop as many TV shows as I wanted round, but anyway, apparently real life's different.
I think if you can produce that for the sickos, that's absolutely fine. I don't think it'd be a problem because you're catering to a niche within a niche then at that point. And occasionally they have left it on. Which has been great. We've always compared it to the 10-minute Freeview on the adult channel, just being allowed to run low. Hello,
that mythical night where it kept running and it just happened to be the one you weren't recording.
Glorious day,
that
mate.
happened to me. Yeah.
Honestly, ingrained in the inside of my eyeballs that night. I tell you. But I think was the reason for this existing. I was making the assumption that it was because it's non-playoff nights, or not non-playoff nights, but also it's not the start of the finals, and they've both Warner Brothers Discovery have got both the NHL and the NBA, so they are they're doing big ratings for those at the moment, so it makes sense for them to just throw in, well, here's some more live sport that we can put onto there, so they're going to do this, and they, as much as it winds up as well.
From a TV executive point of view, or where do we put this other 2 hour block of wrestling that we've got in the week? If we had anywhere we could put it, it would make the most sense after the other fucking 2 hour block of wrestling, because it's probably going to do the best number there, is there? As much as it winds, maybe not necessarily me, but certain people up. That's the point, isn't it? And obviously, if I take the EWR hat off and you're playing like serious, there was an EWR version, wasn't there, for like booking your own TV network?
Yeah,
sure that was something you used to play on Paramount Text. But when you were playing that game, you know what I mean. You want to put it in the spot that got you the most ad revenue. You want to put it in the spot that got really the most eyeballs watching it. So in real life terms as well as that game's terms, then it makes sense, doesn't it, from a TV network's point of view? And that's why they're going to push in it. That's why they're going to push for a 3 hour SmackDown, why they're going to push for a 3 hour Raw, and they're going to push for a 3 or dare I say a 4 hour Dynamite.
That's coming as well. And I have to say, a 4 hour version of this compared to say a 3 hour version of SmackDown, I know which of the two I would watch in in a heartbeat, really, just from a quality level of wrestling. I know which of the two that I would go for. It's a fucking slog, though. It
was hard, though.
It was.
If they have more to go for it. Well, the other thing I like about it, again, I should, sorry, honestly, I'll be on his PR team to sell these 4 hour ones. The other reason I like it is, if it is only every now and then, it's a pay-per-view on telly, innit? Because, like, Saturday night's main event doesn't work because it's 2 hours, and they still do put a pay-per-view, or at least for WWE, pay-per-view, and amount of matches in it, and they don't fit. 3 hour pay-per-view with ads probably would run 4 hours, so it's probably the right length of time, and it's probably something you can do. So again, it makes it feel special, doesn't it? Like, compared to the regular TV. But again, I get the negatives because I felt it. That just didn't. I was surprised because we did have a little bit of a conversation about whether we were going to slip an extra show in this week. I'm not sure if we will next week or not. Now that we know it's definitely 4 hours again next week. But past that was the idea. Or if it's a 4 hour Dynamite, they're calling a Fyter Fest. They're going to go all guns blazing. And there was good stuff on the show, don't get me wrong, but most of it was in the first 2 hours. They didn't give you 4 hours worth of content, even in the advertising, I think, going into it.
No, they didn't, did they? I mean, and maybe this was the week where they just went, okay, they're trialing this as a concept. And then for next week, for example, you've got a much bigger match. Even if I'm expecting there to be...
I don't think it's going to happen. Which is fucking ballsy, isn't it? I don't think they're doing it. Jump ahead.
I think there's going to be a fuckload of like shenanigans that just end up the match being thrown out. Rather like what WWE would do, like, in the Attitude Era, wouldn't they? They would opt like these big matches, and then they just wouldn't really end up happening, and they could get away with it.
Could Swerve just be like, I mean, I wasn't there. He was at a wedding, wasn't he, in Madrid or something like that? You know, I didn't sign nothing. I didn't agree to this match. Just like fully, not kayfabe it, literally just shoot. Like, yeah, I haven't agreed to the match. Sorry, not happening. Like, I guess that's your way. I don't know. Something about it feels shenanigan-y because they obviously announced it the week he wasn't there. But
I think they can weirdly get away with it because it's 4 hours of TV. It's just almost to an extent what they should be doing is taking almost like a Clash of the Champions style model. Sorry, it feels I'm bringing up the ghost of Battle of the Belts.
If you're going to do, be careful what you wish for.
If you're going to do something like this, you basically have matches with slightly lesser challengers who you would never headline a pay-per-view with, but for TV is absolutely fine. And it almost felt like the first 2 hours was very much filled with that. The problem was the last 2 hours was just like multi-man, tag, multi-man, tag, Thekla debut. And it was just like, okay, all right, this is. But like when I was watching I was watching that main event, which was just very much there as like, I looked at Paragon and I went, Jesus, between this and the pay-per-view, when it comes to match placements, Jesus, you are getting the short end of the stick. And I'm not really that upset about them getting the short end of the stick either for that type of stuff. But they could do something better, but you need to offer some stuff of a bit more substance, particularly for that second hour.
On the Ospreay point, I mean, he was obviously the bridge of the 2 hours again.
Yeah.
I thought they used that first 2 hours, to build to the last 2 hours. And I think I saw somebody fantasy book the idea, Mark Briscoe will beat Moxley and then they do a title match in the second part of the show. Wouldn't that be a great way to keep you hanging on? The way they chose to keep you hanging on was Ospreay versus Leo Rush. But I thought Ospreay did a great job, obviously, in the promo at the start of it. Obviously, as we've got in the background there, Chummy were there. Shivani explaining his reasons. I fucking loved from Collision at the weekend, which feels 6 million years ago now. That little bit of extra footage you have of Swerve and Ospreay, like rubbing noses, basically, kicking off at each other backstage over the Hangman segment on last week's Dynamite. I love all that lore that they throw in there. I love the idea of it was like they were one-upping each other, weren't they? It's like, well, you've never beat Mox, well, you've never beat me. It's like, oh, they're keeping track of this, like wins and losses matter. Fuck you, Road Dogg. And that conversation I had with our mate Tom at Jim Balor on Twitter all that at that time ago that got me and Matty blocked. Like, you fucking, I love that. That's what the company should be. The top babyfaces should remember who's beating who, and it shouldn't matter to each of them. Thought that was brilliant, and Ospreay went further with obviously the exposition of why he even thought it was a good idea to try and get Hangman and Swerve on the same page. Thought it was a good bit of business, and I thought obviously Leo Rush coming out was fine. Even if like Ospreay questioned what the music was, felt like a match. I think Ospreay the person probably wanted on that second half, and it was again a reminder of what those last 2 hours were, which is Collision. It was very Collision worthy match for Ospreay, but it was fun. Is probably the word I go with.
It was fun. In some ways, the match, I was a little bit disappointed because I kind of expected it to be like ridiculously spectacular and flippy. And
I don't know if you still get that with the Rush anymore.
Nah,
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. And
he's got a certain gear now, which is fine.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, in that case, just put Will Ospreay in there with AR Fox because he's incredibly creative when it comes to stuff like that. Again, that would be almost like part of the way to go. But I thought it was like a really good bit of business because it is the thing about tying in all of these guys together. Now, I'm slightly fearful that with this announcement next week, my only other fear is, I know I mentioned this last week on the weekend show, are we actually going to be getting Swerve and Ospreay versus the Young Bucks? There's a part of me that's fearing that I could see them going in that direction, whereas I don't. I just want there to be shenanigans next week, them two together there as well.
Give it a bit of juice, give it a bit of heat. Yeah,
and throw it out there to completely steal the show. However, like I thought, like in terms of the logic with Hangman, I mean, it's good to have baby faces interacting, but they're not all big mates. The only person who's like kind of the one who's wanting to be mates with everyone is Will Ospreay. But Hangman Page, he shouldn't be forgiving Swerve.
No.
And Swerve shouldn't be forgiving Hangman. They shouldn't be getting on. That's it. Even though they're nominally faces, that's absolutely fine. Of that, the dynamics work perfectly.
We all lived through 20 years of peak Vince McMahon dementia, like as he would routinely forget who wrestled who feuded with who and why, who was who was aligned why any of it mattered. None of it mattered, did it in WWE for years. There's a plug for Davey and Braden's John Cena, the Final Timers Now shows. We looked at John Cena versus fucking Dave Bautista, who was actually quite cool, in fucking 2010. That deserves the fucking that we talked about there, where a lot of the booking didn't matter and a lot of the history between these guys got forgotten right afterwards. You'd have killed for booking like this back then. You'd have killed for like just somebody to remember. And I love that like Hangman's like, you know what, we're both goodies now, but we're not just going to be mates. Like, we're not just going to get on. Like, I've still got, you did a very serious, again, and it was silly at the time, and we laughed at it at the time, and it was like, we all thought it was the worst thing of the year, and I thought it was the best thing of the year. I think that was represented in the Grappies, wasn't it, if I remember rightly? But, like, it was a very fucking, in kayfabe, it was a very serious thing that Swerve did to Hangman. It was a very serious thing that Hangman did to Swerve. The characters shouldn't forget, and I love that petty, it's not even pettiness, is it? I just love that grudge. I love keeping that grudge, and I love that consistency of character, but across all three of them, and they're all behaving in and saying the things that these people would say if they were living, breathing people. Like, even obviously down to Ospreay in his promo, to go back to that, talking about like the listing off the people who've, like, in Matty's terms, restored the feeling to AEW, but using that in kayfabe to go, where the people who've, made people excited again, Tony Storm, Kenny Omega, me, Swerve, and Hangman, I think is what he said, and Moxley, you're the one dragging it down. Like, they're all saying the things that you would think, that these characters would say in these moments. It's great stuff.
And weirdly, it gets the Death Riders over even more than all of the fucking year or so before.
I really believe Hangman wants to get to Moxley. I really do. Like, his promo was probably a step even above Ospreay's one. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And again, what we're doing is we're doing the stuff that we've always wanted them to do, which is you're following the arc of Adam Page, and he's staying true to his character. You've got other really good wrestlers who people want to see in and around that main event scene. Yeah, I know Kenny's doing the stuff with Okada, but then there'll come a point post that whether or not they're going to do a face version of a belt collector if he's managing to get the international and continental belts, and then try and tie in the world title there as well. They've managed to get you the idea of they're getting the feeling back because the Death Riders killed the feeling in kayfabe and in reality terms as well. All of that stuff absolutely works. And I am and we're still at the point, this is always the thing to kind of remember, like, what are we, 5-6 weeks away from All In? There is time, but we know where at least we're kind of getting to. We know who the major players are going to be when that title match is over, and how that figures in as well. So yeah, just hook this to my veins. This is the stuff where I'm going like, this Yeah, you're starting off a 4-hour show with a talking segment. That feels very WWE, but it's a good fucking talking segment, and it's all based in logic and reality. So I'm good with all of that.
Definitely, like I say, and like the Hangman segment was kind of like the linchpin of the early parts of like the second part of the show, wasn't it? So all ties together in there and works really well. Let's see the big talking point we got here. About the Kenny 4-way. We should talk some of that, and the fact that the Okada match is now official. Great timing. As actually haven't revealed the full slate of shows for coming up with June. We haven't got to follow the format. Is this even a spotlight? It says spotlight on screen, but it's not really. I'm not counting this as a spotlight. It's just a live chat between friends where we share some Dynamite thoughts. But I'll throw a plug in. We are planning on doing the Dominion 2018 show on there for our flashback for June coming up this Sunday, which does include the 2 out of 3 falls Kenny Omega versus a Kazuchika Okada match, which I did double and triple check with you and separately with Gareth. Are you sure we should do this, lads? Are you certain this is a good idea, lads? But it's Dominion coming up in June too, and it ties in well to AEW announcing this match as well. So we're going to be covering that as well as the rest of the show. There's a fucking weird multi-person tag on there. It's got like Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes, and Rey Mysterio on the same team. Like, it's fucking bizarre. There's a lot of names and faces that you forget were all on the same team in 2018. But yeah, the question's going to be whether that match holds up to the version that obviously AEW now promoted are all in.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that, and I'm so looking forward to like sort of classic new, like going back to the golden age of New Japan as well. I know someone pointed us to the mid '90s as well, but in
fairness, it was 7 years ago too. It feels like it was like it feels like it was a decade ago, and it also feels like it was 2 years ago. I'm actually not sure. Maybe that's not right. Actually, maybe time isn't a factor. No, that's how long it's been. Absolutely, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm completely game for this. And did you notice they said at the end of the show, the Tony Khan big announcement as well, is that when he'd made it official, Nigel McGuinness, sorry to go back to the point you're raising early on, and there will be a video package, i.e. we're going to be bringing up all of this stuff and just like making sure you realise, like, it's like, it's a tough thing to try and sort of encapsulate. And this is the thing we're going to be testing with that Dominion recap. How good were those matches? In the moment, I was convinced easily from a match quality perspective, they were up there with the greatest trilogies of all time when we got to that stage. So I'm happy that they've announced that. I thought the four-way again was like was very good.
It was good. It didn't hit the heights, did it?
No.
It felt like it was giving Kenny Omega a bit of a, like, oh, he wants to work against all these people. Go on, let him have just enjoy himself and do a couple of interactions with each of them. Oh, he gets to get launched around by Claudio for a bit. You know what I mean? It was like, felt like a bit of a bucket list item for him, and just a bit of felt like a stag do. Like Kenny Omega's stag. That's what he'd do. He wouldn't drink, would he? He'd just have a big wrestling match with all his mates, and that's what he did. But it was below like what it could have been, I think. This show was dying out for. I think this tournament should have led to a big singles match for Kenny, and if this show had the big Kennys, I mean, again, maybe they're wrapping him in cotton wool, as has been historically the case, to build up to this Okada match, but I would have liked a proper Kenny Omega singles match. That's probably what this Fyter Fest was missing.
Yeah, when you think about it, that's the problem with four-ways, is the stakes never seem as good, and particularly because we had another four-way thrown in there towards the end of the show as well, the Ring of Honor TV title. Not quite the same. And also, we know what the match is going to be at All In. So you're building to a title match where you think, well, he's not going to be losing the title, is he? That's not going to be a thing that's happening. We kind of know what the direction of travel is going to be here. Him versus Brody King would have been a match would have been interested in seeing, and yet Brody King would have eaten the pin, and he's done that a lot in AEW. But it would have showed him living with Kenny Omega there as well. There was a lot of, and this is a thing that was peppered in throughout the card, like Masco Dorado is kind of randomly being on there. But it's almost like they wanted to put as many CMLL guys on here as possible, so you can say, well, we're going to be in Arena Mexico in 2 weeks. So there's so much of that stuff. And Mascadorado is he's a funny fish in that he, on his day, he's an incredible wrestler, but he's also a bit of an arse. He doesn't like doing business and stuff like that, and that's why he never ends up getting those kind of big sustained pushes. But I thought overall as a match, it was good. It wasn't bad. Like, if you saw that, if this was on SmackDown, what would the reaction be? People would be losing their fucking minds and talking about how great WWE is. We get a match like this on AEW, and it's like, yeah, it's good, but like they can do better. They have better combinations of people as well for it. Did the job, got him to the place. I was just more surprised there was physicality between him and Okada after, and they started like hitting each other and whatnot. So it's going to be next week. It was video package and contract signing. That's where we are on the. That's what we are for next week.
It was an interesting tease, though, to kind of like use that as the hour cross moment to like understand the next. You know, if you watch Collision, here's a card. It's like, I don't know if that's a draw for anyone. Don't think it could be. You know, if things were all right in the world, and if this gets handled correctly, maybe we could get to that point again with a card. But I don't know. I hope Kenny goes over him, and I hope. You know, we get something resembling the old. And again, the other positive is that we're doing the other big thing, isn't it? That we're doing obviously the feels like hopefully permanent now merger of the belts too with the Continental and the International. I hope I've got that right. Yeah, they're the two. It's not the TNT title; it's them two. Let's hope that's a proper thing going forward as well.
Let's throw that in there as well while we're at it.
Oh fuck! That would Carter would suit having them, wouldn't he? More than he's going to win, isn't he? He's going to win. He's going to beat Kenny. Oh, that's fine. Whatever.
I think we're going to be getting a Kenny win for it. I mean, Okada's won the Continental Classic. He's had the belt for an incredible amount of time. Like you said, though, you hit the nail on the head, which is I want old Okada. I want Okada taking this seriously. I want like proper Rainmaker Okada. I don't want comedy bitch Okada. I'm not like that. For me, feels
something like, akin to the Speedball match Okada, but like again, turned up another few levels. Yeah.
And I hope he does that as well when it goes into the match itself. But we'll talk about that nearer the time.
Could be for the Intercontinental Championship, as Pat says. You know, also the Intercontinental title, this Dominion 2018 card. Let me just throw you 3 matches at you, JP, that we're going to be reviewing. Kenny versus Okada, obviously in the main event. 1 hour, 4 minutes. Sorry. Jericho, Naito. Chris Jericho, back when people actually liked them. Hiromu Takahashi versus Will Ospreay. This is the tag I mentioned, so I got the combinations wrong, but it's the right people. Cody Rhodes, Hangman Adam Page again on the same team just doesn't. It's obvious because it happened loads of times. They were in the Elite, but it still feels wrong when you think about it. 2025. Speaking of wrong, Team with Marty's Girl taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jushin Liger, and Rey Mysterio Jr. I have no recollection of that. I only remember Rey Mysterio working New Japan USA shows. I do not remember actually getting on a plane and going to Japan at any point.
I don't even remember that. Bloody hell.
There was one, remember, he was supposed to wrestle Ricochet, was he? Or something? I'm sure there was. Just as he re-signed for WWE. Oh, no, they didn't let them do the match because of Ricochet's contract thing with Lucha Underground. There was some weirdness, wasn't there? I remember that. That's vaguely. Young Bucks versus Sonata and Evil. Oh, no. At least it's short. Michael Elgin, Hiroki Goto, was on this show. It's a who's who, mate. But Jay White and the undercard teaming with Yoshihashi. But interesting to see the people and the places they were back then. But anywho.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be a big old fucking crowd as well in there as well. I've not mentioned I have seen Best of the Super Junior, which if we get a chance at the very end of this, I would like to bring up.
Yeah, man, definitely mention it. Yeah, I'll throw in some more plugs for some other shows we've got coming up at the end as well. But yeah, back to Fyter Fest. They're kind of the big stories, aren't they? I suppose the other big one was MJF and his continued war against the Luchadors, essentially, as we got here, and also the weird, like, hard left the hit and they have taken into being heels since he's been teaming up with MJF. It's almost like MJF is writing MVP's material at this point, you know, trying to turn on the crowd who were trying to cheer for Lashley because he was the hometown babyface. MJF running down Mexico until Commander, of all people, stood up to him, running down Mystico, obviously the big thing there. It was a weird segment, but felt effective in the end. I don't know. When MJF kind of went over the line and then under the line and then over the line again, it was a very MJF segment in a lot of ways. But yeah, what was your take on it?
I find this. I want to see the Hurt Syndicate, and maybe this is the longer build that we're going to end up getting of them being more conflicted, being heels. Going, well, actually, no. The thing that they were all about, pardon the pun, is they were all business. So whether you cheered them or whether you booed them, they didn't care. Their job was to hold the tag belts and be hard in the fucking process. Not literally. But, like, if they, like, with this stuff, with the Mystico stuff, felt like it was, like, kind of very much low-hanging fruit, which will be great in Arena Mexico, because Mystico will obviously be massively over. MJF will turn up with his US shorts and everything else, like the ones he wore against Michael Oku at York Hall. And that's all absolutely fine. But it was seeing MVP be very sort of heelish. It makes me wonder whether or not we are going to see a point in the next week to 2 weeks, because it has to happen relatively soon, where Shelton and Bobby are going like, mate, do you want to calm it down a bit? Like, why are we doing all of this stuff? Like, it feels a little bit uneasy. There was the only hint of that is when Lashley got up on the turnbuckle and the crowd massively cheered, and then Shelton Benjamin did, and the crowd massively cheered, and then they didn't cheer for MJF. So it's this idea that MJF corrupting MVP, which he is doing probably in a literal way, say, writing his material. I find it weird, but then it's also, I can never get a gauge on where this story is going. And I don't think that's the worst thing. As someone who, as people will know, listen to me, I just spend my entire time trying to predict what they're doing. Like, that's almost.
I like that we can't, though. It's good, isn't it?
We can't.
And along the way, we get little fun stuff like this, where we're putting over, like, you know, like a commander, or like we're giving Kevin Knight 10 seconds on the microphone to kind of show a bit of personality, which he did. You know, we're using it to set up Speedball. You know, he did there, and also introduce his 6 more Lucha guys. Hoping people don't notice they've just been ROH pay-per-viewed their way onto it to Dynamite at the minute. But again, you're all right. It's work that's got to be done, obviously, with the big show coming up. Again, interested to contrast it with the way WWE are going about things as well. But yeah, you can while we're in that whole that with that story, you can do these little fun offshoots. So I've got no problem with it.
No, I have no problem with it at all. I like Commander. I think Commander's become a bit tighter in ring as well. Like, and his spots are so ridiculously spectacular. The rope walk where he jumped on.
It's always going to get over that, isn't it? Yeah.
He does it almost to perfection, and it works.
Yeah.
And Kevin Knight, always that work in progress, but he's getting that TV time, so I'm down with that. And Mike Bailey is in the slot that Mike Bailey should be in at the minute.
Other stuff on the show, there's a lot of it. Actually, not a lot of other stuff, but other stuff. Max Caster getting over the Losing Streak gimmick continues to be funny. Again, whether that's the best use, I don't know, but it did make me laugh. Hobbs coming out and squashing him. That was a relative highlight of the show.
The crowd.
Sorry. Usually we're done with the segment in 10 minutes on Weekend Show.
Yeah. This crowd, I have to say, were, at least in fairness to them, they were pretty much, don't get me wrong, towards the end there was a bit more of a lull. But my God, like, I mean, I've got the venue up on screen behind me here. I thought, this appears to be a weekly thing that I do. Cracking venue. Only holds 2,500. To be honest, does it look any different from like a 10,000 crowd?
Cozy, I think is the way I saw Wade Kelly use about it.
Yeah,
cozy.
But it works perfectly. They were hot, like for that. But they were even, some of them were even chanting along with Max Caster as well. Where it goes with him, I'm never entirely. Again, another
still more over than the other one, anyway.
Yeah. He is, who's made an appearance where he's challenging Carl Fletcher, and my first thought was, well, you're losing that, mate. There's no fucking chance you're winning.
It's what he does, isn't it? Like, literally, like he's become a jobber to the stars. Don't know how you're justifying kayfabe and getting a title shot, but there we go. What can you do? But yeah, that was a highlight. I suppose, what else? Obviously, yeah, Mark Briscoe we mentioned at the top. That was good. I think the major bite on possible Mark Briscoe, possibly upsetting Mox. Again, with it being non-title, you can get away with that a little bit more. He was, as usual, great self-fight from underneath on Mox. Again, maybe didn't quite hit the level that you might have hoped for. It didn't quite feel as significant as it could, but it was fun.
It was absolutely fun. I mean, I did think, if we do, at some point, I want to see Mark Briscoe challenging for the TNT belt. Because I think if you've done the run for the Ring of Honor belt, but unfortunately Ring of Honor doesn't mean anything in any serious terms, I would love to see like a run for a title of him going, yeah, I'm getting older, I want to win a title. And the TNT one is one that always feels like it's pretty much achievable. Because if you just think the job he does, in a very literal sense, of just fighting from underneath, always over, always putting in a shift, and the crowd are always with him. Like, they absolutely, I mean, you know, I bore myself even saying this point, and no doubt you as well, but what a job he's done since he's been in there as a singer. Like, it's been so much better than what I would thought it'd be. And This is a perfectly, for a show like this, a 4-hour TV where you're not going to be getting all pay-per-view matches. This is kind of the slot I want to see him in there. Like, this is your upper mid-carder against a headliner, and that's fine. No issue with that at all.
Any other highlights from the show before we move on? Anything else to go into?
Highlights? I mean, maybe I'm slightly... I don't know what you made of the Thekla debut. I thought it was kind of...
It was a step up on last week.
Yeah, it was. She's
I kept calling her Thelka again, didn't I? Damn it.
That's all right.
The haters are going to win.
It'll take a while. But, like, for her, when she did the... her finisher is...
That's my Will Cooling, Carrie Nora. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Carrie Nora.
It's a classic.
But I thought with her, like, her finisher is kind of interesting. It's good look. And it was absolutely fine. It's just that, where does she fit in? There's a log jam of a lot of other women who you would who are well and clearly, like, positioned above her. Where do you kind of fit her in there? Chris says it there. If we'd had a video package, we would have come away going, well, you just get rid of Mercedes Moné and just strap her up. That's what you do. Get her facing Toni Storm at All in Texas. But I thought she was fine for what it was. It was a short enough match. It's Lady Frost. You don't need to think too much about it. But I thought that match was kind of generally fine. The problem is with this second hour is there was so much.
It limped to the end, didn't it? Like,
yeah.
How can we break it down match by match? Like, it just wasn't interesting enough to. It was one of those collisions where we get on Spotlight and we go, "Yeah, collision was all right, wasn't it?" Anywho, it's your Dynamite preview. Like, like what you pick apart from this, like you could. It became a slog in those last 2 hours. Like the Don Callis tag and Adam Cole and the lads turning up. It was just even me, it was like, I'll take a bit more AEW. I was regretting that decision as we ran to the end of it.
Yeah, it did. That was the thing. They needed more variety. They needed to just sort of Ty Mello's return. I was like, I couldn't give a shit in there as well. It is a nicely cooked steak, mate. I would completely agree with that from what your phone is saying. Now that's made me fucking starving. Now you've thrown that into the mix. I've remembered that I'm hungry. But yeah, I thought that's the thing you hope they learn for next week, is that they need to just sort of have a bit more variance of matches, because the last hour and a half, it just felt like, this is where Don Callis family got loads of members. We're going to chuck them into the mix. And not that the wrestling itself was bad. That's the thing about it. It's just that it was a fucking lot of it. And it's not like we had, what do we have in the way of sort of like blow away angles that would really make us think, oh yeah, this is like they're cooking with gas. But this was about fulfilling a need for Warner Brothers Discovery, and they will have done that. And like I say, this will be better than like SmackDown will be. I can say that now, and SmackDown isn't even out until. And
if it's at least it's not every week forever like this. 3-hour SmackDown is going to be going forward as well. But yeah, what I was trying to get up there was the summer blockbuster lineup. Instead, I got what Wade Keller had for tee up. I thought he'd be reliable for the preview. But hey ho, I've gone to post wrestling instead. Obviously, we have Ospreay versus Swerve that was announced for next week. Also, obviously, we got Mystico turning up to continue up the MJF story. We've also got Thekla, not Thelka's second AEW appearance, a match with Toni Storm, and apparently, the contract signing, as just said earlier, JP, with Kenny and Okada. On top of that, we've got Toni Storm v. Julia, so it's Toni Storm versus Julia Hart, Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley and MJF versus Kevin Knight, Mike Bailey and Commander, Kyle Fletcher versus, as you said, Anthony Bowens, Thekla versus Queen Amanita it is, and I would say Mystico in action too. But yeah, I think most people are going to be swerving a 4-hour show next week if they don't put a little bit more into it. But again, that big match, if it really happens, is probably a good enough good reason for it. But there you go, you've had the experiment, Tony. Now when we do weekend show tomorrow on the Patreon, let's see what the number it did. Maybe we'll all be cheering for a worse number than better. But as we're doing it, go on.
I was going to say, the real question is, how much of it will Matt Lee have watched on YouTube? Therein lies the retest. Would he have watched?
I've seen some of the promos. I can feel him saying it already, but we'll see. And some of the main events. I think that's what he said to you about Double or Nothing. Just watch it. It's good. Like Double or Nothing was good. Watch it. You like wrestling? Watch the good wrestling show. Like it's hard. If somebody told me and you, JP, that like WWE Money in the Bank was a good show, like even if we were in podcast, I'll watch it then. Of course, we'll. Good lots of WWE in front of it, but everyone's saying it was good. I guess I should at least give it a watch for myself to figure it out. Nope, we don't get it. But
I want him to watch some AAA. Though that's the other thing in this.
It'd improve his life if he just, took the letters out of it and just enjoyed the good wrestling show that was happening in front of him. I don't see why that's so hard. But I was going to say, while we're keeping it casual, we won't go any longer than another 10, 15 minutes or so. Anything else you'd like to talk about? Let us know in the chat. Any questions? Anything you'd like to mention? You said before, JP, I was going to say, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about? What else was going on in the world of JP? Obviously, you won't have your own weekend show tomorrow. So,
no.
Anything you want to fire away about?
So it'll be me trying to hide in false names to see if I can get Matty to read them. I'm really struggling.
I still can't believe we did that whole setup preview and then it didn't go to the fucking show.
Oh,
fucking
mate.
COVID 2020. What are you gonna
Was
do?
it any good? Is it on the VOD?
COVID? No, it was horrible. It was a worse COVID. It felt like it was worse. I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I was so scared it was something more serious. Like, that was more the problem. It was more like, have I got like fucking something? I get bit like in Thailand, I got bitten by mosquitoes so often that my brain started running away going, hang on. Why do I feel so shit? Why am I shivering when I get up in the morning? Just turned out to be fucking garden variety COVID.
Do I have malaria?
Fine.
Which is
honestly
a serious enough thing.
Yeah, dengue fever, that's a big one. I'm dipping and dodging that every day I'm out here, but what are you going to do?
Something I would recommend that you watch, and I don't know if you have, and I kind of wasn't, and it was just basically kind of like, I was like prepping at that point in time for Spotlight, and I thought, well, I should watch this, was the final of Best of the Super Juniors between Yo and Kosei Fujita. Two wrestlers I don't normally give much of a shit about. Do you know how old Yo is?
I'm going to guess now because I would have guessed. Genuine guess would be 27. And I bet the truth is like 43.
Not far off. 36, mate.
Fucking hell.
He's 36.
I mean, when you think about it, like, yeah, when they were young boys coming over here, that wasn't like it was yesterday, was it? Pat Patterson was still going. It's 2016, was it? We saw them. Like,
yeah,
I guess.
He was, wasn't he? He was like exactly
like he's a TV series that hadn't been cancelled yet. He's been cancelled now. It's fine.
And Kosei Fujita is 22 as well. I remember that he beat Michael Oku. I think it was at one of the Royal Quest shows that they had at Crystal Palace. Well, we didn't go to that one for obvious reasons because it was Royal Quest. It was like, well, why bother our ass? These two in the Best of the Super Juniors final. I'm not joking. They had a fucking cracking match. Really, really, really good. And it was, I mean, part of it was the story. Yo's got this weird gimmick where he does a lot of the moves of former Chaos members. They're like one man Chaos. This is shit that's been going on while I've not been watching them. It's like, oh, okay. So I'll go along with this. And it was absolutely fine. But Kosei Fujita has become a tidy little wrestler. And for a junior division that needs to rebuild itself in a post-Despy, post-Hiromu world, they need to, hopefully post-Taguchi world in there. But fuck me, this was good. This absolutely delivered. I mean, I would think I'd have to watch it again. My initial reaction was like 4.5 stars. The crowd, which wasn't sold out, but it's like just over 3,000 there, completely hanging on everything. And it built really, really nicely. And towards the end, and he had that what would be a stereotypical New Japan like kind of blitz through loads and loads of like sort of near falls and stuff. But the crowd was split on the pair of them. They didn't miss anything at all. Vegeta winning is the right decision because it just feels like, well, you got to go with someone. You might as well go with him. He had all of TMDK at ringside as well. Like, he feels like, okay, this needs to be the guy that you're kind of, who's in and around the top of that junior scene for the next 10 years until he fills out, basically. Like, that's where we're at with him. But he felt like he was the start. The most I've cared about Yo, possibly ever, was in this match. But it was really, really good. I mean, Connor saying there in the chat, he was really good all throughout the tournament.
That's what he kept hearing about the tournament, is like the matches were outpacing the booking. Like, and that was the problem was the matches that were good not really meaning anything. You know, in the end, is that a fair kind of assessment of it?
It feels like it was that way. I mean, he got there because of like a 4-way tie. He was the tiebreaker. So he got there because there were so many of them, like a log jam at the top. And it made you kind of want a tournament where there's just 2 definitive winners of the blocks. There's 2 of them who are so good, and you just want to see them 2 face each other. Rather like a World Cup. And you just see there's two really good teams on either side of the bracket. I would say like the Champions League final where the best 2 teams are in it. But that kind of shit the bed for all intents and purposes, as fucking Inter just played like the old men that they are.
Even I watched it, mate. It was a squash match.
It was an absolute fucking squash. Honestly, it was like, booking wise, it was terrible, that Champions League final as well.
I know. After 20 minutes,
underdogs PSG, who are funded by a petro state.
Well, it is that.
But this. It feels like if it's all about the outcome. Kosei Fujita is the way to go, but they need to treat that junior division with a bit of time and a bit of respect as well. And you know, other stuff on the card is just not worth. I mean, I skipped through bits of it. I want to see what Nick Wayne was like in it, for example. And he's someone who, like, I mean, it'll be him and Christian Cage at All In, like, which will be an interesting kind of match. And I'm assuming at some stage, well,
on the road to the JP booking. You're the one who put that together. No one can tell me otherwise. The Christian reunion. Yeah, while we've got a question. Well, not a question in the chat there, but Connor bringing it up. Is there going to be any more matches for Money in the Bank? So the predictions. Eyes on the prize, JP. Just straight at your camera. No tabs opening. No, I want to see none of it. John Paul Houlihan. Tell me 3 matches to the Money in the Bank coming up this weekend.
Okay. All right. Cody Rhodes he's teaming with someone against John Cena, and who's the other fucker who came out of the match? It's not Travis Scott.
Look at yourself, like you did the Edge and Christian. Who would Cody Rhodes team up with against John Cena?
Oh, it's not Sami Zayn.
Who else was John Cena run-ins with recently?
Randy Orton.
No. Who have I had run-ins with recently?
Oh, fucking everyone, mate. You normally.
Who would Matty not have a run-in with?
Oh, God.
Team with Cody Rhodes. Whose catchphrase is yeet? I can't give you any more clues.
Oh, Jey Uso. Yep. Against Cena and Logan Paul.
There you go. Nailed it.
There's that one.
I want 2 more.
Whoa, right now we're struggling. Who's qualified for the Money in the Bank?
I was going to do that last. You could probably fumble your way to that one last, I reckon. We have. Okay, I'll give you WWE Women's Intercontinental Title match.
Oh, that's Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch with a couple of stipulations there.
Spoken like a man who reads the Raw results. Good job. Right. Probably this is unfair to ask you to give me one more because the others are the men's ladder match and the women's ladder match. So I don't know if I could have given you all the names in this. And I struggled with the last paper. Yeah.
Who's in the match for the men's one? I think, if I'm right in thinking, we've got El Grande Americano. I did
beat AJ Styles this week on Raw. Who CM Punk said, "Let's do it again down the road, brother." After 20 years of hating his fucking guts, according to multiple sources that I know, who've heard them talking shit about him. But
God! And that was the 3-way with them, wasn't it? And then he fucked.
I think Christopher Daniels will get that piece from Punk. Probably not. Think Colt Cabana will. Probably not.
No, God, never. Oh, God. Who are the other ones who are going to be in?
This is tough. You'd have to watch SmackDown, to be honest, to get it. I'll give you them. Solo Sikoa, Penta, Andrade, LA Knight, and Seth Rollins.
Oh, my.
Can I play this game with Matty again tomorrow? As if Matty hasn't got a tattoo on his fucking forearm.
Mate, that sounds fucking diabolical. That sounds absolutely awful. Matty will go, but the story's been good. That's what I'm waiting for. Like, the story's been
story. There's no such thing as good or bad as long as the story. That's all that matters. Can you give me anybody else from this women's match, or are we at our limit?
Jade Cargill.
I would have struggled, to be honest.
Jade Cargill, or was it Naomi who won?
Not on the list I've got. Oh, Naomi. Yeah, Naomi.
Naomi. Oh, God.
If you can give me 2 more, we'll move on.
Oh, fucking hell. Now you're...
Otherwise, we're here all night.
We are here all night, aren't we? Yeah, we're bollocks this hour and a half stuff. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm
play the clock out, JP. Play it out. There's only 6 minutes to go.
Struggling without cheating for this. This is
all right. Now, I'll give you the Naomi, Stephanie Vicker, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Julia, and Roxanne Perez. That's news to me. My mind would have been blown tomorrow.
That sounds a lot more interesting than men's, if only for Roxanne Perez, who really should be someone they think about putting it on. Like Stephanie Vicker, who appears to be the big project. I remember it was one of the things I read that she won that match on Raw to qualify for it. And I'm down with them going for Stephanie Vicker as their next kind of big thing. I don't have an issue with that in the slightest. That sounds a lot more star power than what the men's one is. Which sounds just when you said Solo Sikoa, my heart fucking sank.
Wrestling a match. Unbelievable, and rare for him too these days. But I'll give Matty more grief about that.
Wasn't there something about him going to Japan?
Matty?
No,
more likely.
Right, more chance of me even a tongue my own arse than Matty going to Japan. I would say...
I might not be going in August now after all those plans. It might be later in the year. More on that soon though. I need to figure it out. Flights have just gone up massively for Steph to come out here, but we'll figure it out.
I'm just trying to think of there's there was something about him like learning Japanese. There was some sort of hint for it. I was what Solo Sikoa's going to Noah. That'd be funny. I know Will Cruz is going into Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which I saw on the Discord. Somebody put up a very funny. Someone said, "I'll just go some Muta face paint," and the face paint they had was of young Kenny from the second series of Phoenix Nights, when it's got the permanent lion's face on there. Why is that not being done? Why is there not? Why is Andy and Jeff not talking about that on Graps and Claps? Some wrestler at PCW. With a fucking with a comedy tiger face on there. Oh, brilliant!
That could be somebody on this Worlds Collide show to answer Platt's point before. I can tell you the king could be Chad Gable outside of that.
Yeah.
Don't know. I know Ethan Page is doing something, but I will find out more tomorrow with Matty on the weekend show.
Yeah, we will do. I look forward to his in-depth review on that. I know he likes to put a disclaimer. Pardon me, a disclaimer on. I do not watch NXT, and it's like, mate. Pardon me.
We've got JP at the end.
WWE.
That's what happens when you get bonus audio.
I've got COVID through the audio. That's what's happening.
I was worried about Matty listening to the Matty Abbott show. It sounded like he had literally the same symptoms as me. Hopefully he's doing better. But yeah, obviously I'll have Matty on the weekend show tomorrow. Yep. We'll do the full plugs for patrons tomorrow, going through everything. We'll just I will put this on the free feed. I'll have to cut out that weird silence bit. But other than that, I think it can go on the free feed. I think it all held together well enough. So if you're on the free feed and you've made it this far, you're clearly a big enough fan of us that you would consider becoming a patron and consider becoming a YouTube member, even for free on the Patreon. You can just sign up for free. You get the odd show. The Big News Dump is on the free tier, as well as the odd other thing on there. So yeah, always worth it, always worth doing. And also, YouTube 99p is the lowest level, and again, you get some stuff over there as well. So yeah, if you've made it this far, as a sneak preview, we are doing Dominion 2018 at the end of this week. I've got news to break for JP. I've had this conversation. Hopefully JP approves on it. So we're going to be doing the Film Club. This month is going to be.
Yeah.
And I put this to JP last week, and I think you approved it. I think you gave me a thumbs up. We're doing Terry 93, which means we're continuing the thread on of Hulk Hogan's 1993, which means we want to find a way to review the Yokozuna match from King of the Ring without re-reviewing the King of the Ring 93, which has already been reviewed on the Fantastic Retro podcast. So we're reviewing Mr. Nanny as a film club. That's what we're doing. That was my solution. Or Thunder, it could be Thunder in Paradise. It could be a double bill. I haven't fully landed on that. Maybe Thunder in Paradise is optional. Mr. Nanny is a definite. They usually do them as double bills, the film clubs. That's what he did in June '93 when he left the Feds. And we'll obviously talk the Yokozuna match because it's
double Terry.
Double Terry. There you go. Yeah, that's sorted. So that's for your non-work rate fans. Matty will be on that show. Won't surprise anyone to know he's skipping out on this Sunday show, which is Dominion 2018. But me, Garrett, and JP will be reviewing that show. And I'm based on the lineup we talked about. Looking forward to it. We've got the most unpredictable of the Kings of the Mountain. If Jeff Jarrett has done like a monster truck or I don't know, world's deadliest catch pro wrestling company, then oh boy, is Eddie Sideburns going to have a King of the Mountain show for. I don't know. I've got no idea what he's going to be doing for us, so we'll see what his King of the Mountain is coming up this month. And the last one, surprise for you, JP, and it's a good one. So we are going to be doing the story of the European title, which is what JP thought was the 4th show this month. It's going to be the first show next month, unless you've seen the calendar, JP, and you've jumped ahead of me and Matty. But Matty is going to be testing all of us on our, I'd say, general knowledge, our Fed knowledge, as we have the inaugural live grapple quiz.
I'm fucked.
The first, and there will be multiple in this series. And for the first, we'll put Matty in the quiz. I reckon you make a good quiz master, JP. I look forward to your hosting one. I don't know what your quiz is about, but I reckon you'll wear a nice hat and you'll have a little big pen and you do a cracking job as a quiz host. I can see it now. Gareth will get his revenge on his one. I'll get my revenge on my one. But yeah, it's going to be Matty's going to be hosting this first one of the first inaugural grapple quiz. We'll be most likely quizzing us on Fed stuff and seeing what mine, JP, and Gareth. Maybe we've got a guest or two. Who knows what our knowledge is on WWE and who win. Race to the bottom, that one, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Mate.
Should be fun. And we'll let the patrons play along too. Another reason to become a patron. We'll find a way. Connor, if you can figure that out, how we can do that, I'd really appreciate it. I know it's very professional to ask you on air, but please help. But we'll figure it out. We'll find a way for people to play along.
No chance. Like I'm finishing bottom of that. And the moment that Matty says in 2011 in WWE, that I'll just zone out. Like I'll be just like Homer Simpson. Like my brain will just turn to that.
I think I know, but I probably don't. You know, Garrett doesn't remember what he had for breakfast this morning, so we're all fucked. Like it's gonna be rough. It'll be funny, won't it? Be like a good little Sunday afternoon that morning. Because there are Sunday afternoon again. If you're someone who hasn't joined the Patreon, because we record late, because I'm over here, it's late for me, but it's early for everyone else now. We're doing mostly Sunday afternoon, especially while the footy's off. I think we can guarantee pretty much, can't we, JP, for the next 2 months? Grapple Super Sundays will live 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Join us instead of watching the footy pre-show, and you can get a quiz as well.
Fucking Nations League final. Fuck that off, lads. Come on, no, bit of this instead.
Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it. You're a great man. That's it. Matty will get the questions over to you, I'm sure. We'll see. Chris Elliott, if he's in it like he is with the show notes, you might have to chase him. I'll chase him for you. Chris Elliott, grapple pub quiz. I like that. That could be.
I like that. I like that as well.
You know what? That's good, isn't it? The grapple.
It almost feels like you should have a pint while doing it because it's not going to make it any worse.
I think we probably will.
I don't think if I was.
I'm undefeated in wrestling quizzes. The Poison Rana / Big Fat Quiz of the Year with Martin. I think I've won every year, apart from the year I got screwed. That doesn't count. But we'll see. With Matty in charge, anything's possible.
Non-cheatable questions will be a test, but I'll get more.
Some will be multiple choice. I think he said he'll do as well to help Gareth more than anything. But not to help me or you, just help Gareth. I think that's fine.
And it'll be like I'll just go right, Matty, Japan.
We've lost JP again. Unless it is my end this time. This is a good tester for the live before we go off air. Can people hear JP, or can they not hear me? I think it's JP. Right, on that note, we'll get out of here. I'll try and let JP figure it out. But I'll say, for JP, for me, thank you for joining us for this little test broadcast. We'll maybe do more of these. Maybe we'll even make them public as a little bonus. On top of Spotlight and Weekend Show, while I've got the extra time over the next couple of months out in Vietnam, and then we'll see what after the summer brings. But yeah, thank you, patrons, for tuning in live for us. Thank you to our kings and queen of the mountain over on the Patreon, Conor Laughlin, Eddie Sideburns, Chris Black, Carl Gack, Sophia Hitchcock, and Sam Mulvaney. And for Muted JP, we'll catch you again on the Weekend Show tomorrow with Matty. Join us on Patreon. Good night, sir.
Bye. I am here.
He's back.
He's there. See you later, folks.
And for those who edited that early bit out on the audio version, they've got no idea what we're referring to there. But
Nope.
Got to join the Patreon to find out.
Live, exactly.
Good night.
Good night.